Dr. James J.C. Cooley. That's right. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. All right.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and our guest co-host on 360 Degree is Dr. Michael Mantell. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. It's good to be back, and I'm back in the saddle, ready to go. So I'm looking forward especially to come back to this topic and this remarkably special guest.
I am looking forward to this guest. And all of you all are world renowned. But this topic is something that Dr. Mantell, you and I have not discussed on the show before. So I'm not going to give it away, Michelle. I see that you're looking at me strange, like I'm going to give you the title.
That look.
But I'm excited to have this guest on, and I'm excited to be discussing this topic because I think it's not discussed that much, especially from a male perspective, in my opinion.
Start to give it away, Michelle. Hey, James, one of the things that's important you just told me about, this is our, what did you say, 71st?
71st episode.
360 Degree Health.
Yes.
That's incredible. That's great.
That is, almost 3 years.
Amazing. 71 episodes.
So I'm excited. How you doing, Dr. Cooley? How you doing?
I'm doing great, doing great. Just had a conversation with our guest today. It's going to be a very educational and informative show.
I am looking forward to it. So, Michelle, can you do the honors by introducing the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely fantastic guest?
Yes, the title of today's show is called It's 360 Health Day. The title is Everyone Knows Someone Going Through Menopause. And we're having a sit-down conversation with Dr. Susan Baumgaertel. She's a physician in internal medicine, provider medical consultation, advocacy services to patients, and the author of the Menopause Menu. She's going to discuss the definition of menopause, what it actually is, the psychological aspects of midlife transition. The snake oil industry influencers and crowdsourcing healthcare are not, I say not, helping women in this time of their life. So Dr. B's practice began in 1996 and encompassed many types of clinical work over the years. She pivoted in the early 2021 to start her own business, responding to pressures of healthcare corporatization and consolidation. She now provides medical consultation advocacy services to patients in the Washington State area, also serving as a professional compass to colleagues across the country who want to shift careers. Her passion for helping women led her to develop a free website, Menopause Menu, a community hub for physical and emotional support. Her self-published The Menopause Menu in 2023 has just completed a chapter for another book throughout this year. Dr. B enjoys speaking at national conferences, giving lectures, podcasts, blogging, and she puts her creative energy into taking pictures of nature on her daily walks. Please welcome her to the show.
How you doing? How you doing, Dr. B? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's sunny in Seattle, which is so unusual. So it's even better.
Beautiful
Wow.
son. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you are here and that you accepted our invitation. You're going to educate so many people today. And I just can't wait to jump in. So this is great. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure, my honor.
This is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to ask the first question. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mike. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what make you click, why you're so passionate about this topic?
Well, from Seattle originally, grew up in Ontario, Canada, came back to Seattle. My degree was actually in architecture and urban planning, so woohoo. Did med school, internal medicine residency, stayed in Seattle, and practiced for 25 years, clinical medicine. Then kind of did the huge pivot, started my own business, and along the way found a lot of passions. I've always really helped, just been passionate about helping women, but getting my website going, writing a book, and kind of walking the talk was really important for me.
Fabulous. So I want to start by asking some very traditional questions, and then we'll go play and extend a little bit. But let's start with the obvious. What is menopause? And what are the stages of menopause? What are some of the symptoms that people experience? Let's start with that definition.
I'm glad you asked that because a lot of people have a different idea and, they're not quite sure what that means. So menopause really is 12 months without a period. Boom, you're in menopause. Premenopause is all the years before then. So when you're 12, you're premenopause. When you're 21, you're premenopause. Peri, the word peri, like perimeter, means around. So peri means around the time of menopause, but you're not quite there yet. That could often be in your early 40s, even mid to late 40s. And then post means after. Postmenopause is all those years until you pass. So that's kind of like the full gamut. But menopause itself is really kind of smack in the middle of midlife. And what else is going on in midlife? A lot for women. And so there are a lot of symptoms that start to get a little murky in terms of like, is it menopause? Is it something else? But everyone's heard about hot flashes and night sweats. Of course, those are the classic ones. But then there's so many other things that kind of overlap in terms of mental health, brain fog. If I had a dime for every time I heard a woman say like, oh, I have dementia, like, nope, you're going to menopause. I'd be wealthy.
So you've said that you're extending it beyond what we might call the medical model to include mindset, the psychological aspects that go along with this. What are the mind shifts that women go through during this 3 stages, if you will, of menopause?
Well, that's a huge question. So when you peel back the layers, what's going on during midlife? There's so much. A woman could have children. Maybe they're growing up. Maybe she's becoming an empty nester. Maybe she's switching careers. Maybe she's getting divorced. Maybe she's caregiving for elderly parents. So there's a lot of things that are happening. And so you kind of sprinkle in the things that are kind of related to the hormones that have decreased, estrogen that's going away. And so it becomes a little almost uncomfortable to figure out sometimes, is it me? Is it real? Is it mental? Is it physical? And trying to piece that together in the framework of, natural aging is important. And so again, sharing information and getting information to women at this stage is really of vital importance.
That's the key issue. Is like, okay, I have this. What do I do about it? Let me ask you another interesting question. When you think about this, what surprised, I know I was listening a little bit to the discussion that you and Michelle were having before we went on the air, but what surprises you most about what women don't know or maybe aren't told about menopause?
Oh gosh, there are several things. First of all, it's not quick unless it's surgical menopause. Like you've had both ovaries taken out, then the switch is flicked, and boom, you're in instant menopause. But natural menopause can be over many years, and so it's not like a quick process. And I think that's kind of like a, not to be Debbie Downer, that it doesn't last forever, but it's drawn out. And then I think the other part of this is that every woman goes through it. This is not selective. Literally half the planet, more than half the planet goes through menopause if you live long enough. So this is a natural phenomenon. This is something that your mother and your grandmother and your aunt went through. And if you have daughters, they'll go through. And so I know that word demystifying is used a bit too frequently, but it's important to demystify this process as a very natural, normal process.
You defined it earlier as 12 months without a period. Boom, that's it. But it is so much more than that. There are so many more symptoms. In my work, I like to help people use a symptom as a signal for deeper self-care. How can you bring that to the notion of helping women who are going through menopause?
Oh boy, I'd say self-awareness, understanding kind of that there's a word in medicine called multifactorial, meaning there are many different things that could be causing something. So it might not be menopause, by the way, if you have hot flashes. Maybe you have, God forbid, early lymphoma. Maybe you have some thyroid disorder, or maybe you're on a medication that's causing hot flashes. So peeling back those layers is important. Getting care from a physician, a medical professional, is important. And then understanding that there are so many other facets that you need to be keeping track of.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we have a sign. We're coming to a break.
Yeah, we're going to take a station break. Whichever platform that you're watching this on, whether it's E360 television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Roma, and over 80 other platforms, welcome to the show. If you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform you're watching this on, go to the comments, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after this break.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith and learning come together to transform lives. At VCU, we believe that education is more than just academics. It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Viridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and that's if you're just not tuning in, you already know it's 360-degree health with Dr. Michael Mantell, and we got this absolutely fantastic, sensational guest on to educate us on things that we all need to know, whether you're male or female, because we have to support each other. And what we're talking about today is everyone knows someone going through menopause. And Dr. B, the way that you was explaining it toward the end, I think that caught everybody's attention because you mentioned the mothers, the grandmothers, everybody. And that if you live long enough, I'm talking about women, will be going through that as well. And so that's what we're talking about today. And some of the signs and some of the things that we need to understand as it relates. So I want to start off with the first question, and I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Mike. What psychological or emotional challenges do women commonly experience during midlife?
Wow, where do I begin? Laughing aside, this is a time when kind of reality hits, and many women are fearing aging. That kind of creeps into daily life. Whether or not you have role models, that kind of can take the edge off of it. But relationship issues and identity issues can be very subtle or profound, and this can change during midlife. And kind of journeying along, there's often this sense of loss, loss of fertility, because you're not going to have a baby anymore if you have. But I kind of spin that. And I think there's also what you gain, and you gain this newfound wisdom. Or you have both, and it's like a roller coaster, because we know that hormones are a roller coaster.
So I don't want to make this I don't want to make this a discussion that menopause is primarily emotional and primarily psychological. Obviously, it doesn't start there. It is a shared part of the experience. Menopause affects the cardiovascular system, the skeletal, neurological system. It affects women physically. But as a physician, I find it, as you're being a physician, I find it interesting that in your wonderful book, The Menopause Menu, do you have a copy? There it is, Menopause Menu. I want everyone to get a copy. Where can they get a copy if they want it?
Oh, Amazon.com in 12 countries.
There you go, Amazon.com, The Menopause Menu. But as a physician who wrote The Menopause Menu, you do talk about mindset, lifestyle, emotional health. Let's talk about that. Physicians who are helping women deal with the entire 360 degrees of menopause, don't only talk about the physical part. Let's talk about the impact that this has on mood. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, interestingly, I think that, during menopause, there are conditions, diagnosed conditions, perhaps anxiety or depression or OCD or other traumas that predate, like it goes back to childhood. And then you kind of plunk into the mix menopause, and it's just like things bubble up and they can get worse, or they can actually be kind of surfacing for the first time. And then, the tricky part is that there's a lot of overlap. Like, let's just take, for instance, depression. Depression can cause weight gain. It can cause sleep disruption. It can cause fatigue. It can cause kind of what we call neurocognitive dysfunction. It can cause libido changes, and on and on. Well, so can menopause. And so, like, how do you sift through that? And of course, the double whammy is both. But this is a time for physicians and those in the medical profession to listen, to be compassionate, to hear, and to allow women to be heard and afford them the time. I know this is really hard in a lot of medical environments. Boom, 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 boom. Your hands on the doorknob. But women need time to talk about these things.
So let's talk about some specific strategies that women can actually. Let me back up for a moment, because you just touched on something about the hand on the doorknob. If a woman doesn't feel like she is being heard from her OBGYN or specialist in menopause, what do you suggest that she do?
I would say before that appointment, some things need to happen. So, number one, she can ask ahead of time, hey, could I have a longer appointment? Before that appointment, she can print out 1 page, not 4 pages, of very basic questions, not 45 questions, maybe 3 or 4 that she wants to have answered. And then respectfully, when she's in the room being put in for her quick visit, she can maybe put that to the top. Like, I know I'm here today to get my renewal for birth control, but I have a concern about vaginal dryness, or I have a concern about, my periods are wonky. And so bring that to the attention and help them help you.
I think what you're saying is, don't be afraid of speaking up for yourself, right? This is your life, and the physician is there to help you. They're not providing, they're there to help you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a critically important message. You're going through a difficult time with a variety of symptoms and experiences, speak up. Now, having said that, let me come back to what I was going to ask, which is, what strategies do you suggest can help women cope with the emotional changes? Any specific things that are on your menopause menu that you suggest?
Well, emotional change takes time. It takes intention. It takes recognition. It takes a people all around you, like a community, a support network. So I think we have to instill in women the understanding of they can work on their self-esteem. They can work perhaps on body esteem, self-image. They can kind of garner support from techniques. It could be a psychologist, it could be a therapist, it could be their best friend, to learn how to support themselves. And I think, again, it's just multi-layered here.
Not every woman going through menopause needs a therapist. And, that's not necessarily a requirement. Those that are experiencing emotional ups and downs may benefit from even a single session with someone in the mental health field to help them understand what they're doing, and maybe provide some tools that they can use. So I want to come back. You mentioned something about libido and sexual health and vaginal dryness. Let's talk about that for a moment. What treatments might be available? Or let me back it up. How does menopause impact sexual well-being and sexual health and libido?
Briefly, a lot of hormone changes are happening. And so you get the idea, estrogen's tanking. Women have testosterone too, but that might be low. And when you think about there are remedies, and there are many natural remedies, but there are prescriptions. There are hormones that can be helpful. Absolutely. There are new guidelines, and it's kind of that's too long a subject for today. But hormones are not inherently dangerous, so that's important to know. And I think they need to be tailored to each individual woman. So you can have systemic, like a patch or a pill, and you can have targeted, like vaginal. And believe me, you can have both. And sometimes it does take both to help with, for instance, the genitourinary syndrome of menopause, which could be vaginal dryness and urinary frequency and pain with sex and maybe the libido's tanking. And then there are other hormones involved that could be given back to a woman to make her feel whole.
I think I read somewhere, maybe in the book, that you said that menopause is not a disease, it's a dialogue. I think that's your concept. What does the dialogue sound like when it's going well for a woman going through this time of life?
Well, I think I also said, menopause is not just puberty backwards. There are the hormone changes, of course, but we have all those other things. Honestly, I think if you slow down and you kind of say, hey, wait a minute, I'm a grown woman. I can do a few things. I'm holding up the world. Maybe it's my family. Maybe it's my job. Put that energy and effort and love into yourself. Recognize maybe you don't have all the tips and tricks. So again, this might be helpful, and really try to channel your inner wisdom, because we all have it. We just need to show it.
So if a woman in her 30s, let's say, is listening today or watching, what can she do now to properly prepare so when she comes into this experience, she is really ready for it in the best way?
Knowledge is power. Really, it truly is. And I'd say that there's so many different ways to get knowledge, but hey, yeah, that's one of them. If you can understand before you get into a situation kind of what to expect, I bet you're going to navigate it so much better, and you'll have more confidence. You'll feel like, oh, that really wasn't a big deal, because you prepared for it ahead of time. So I think that there's a lot there with menopause.
And how often does a woman need to be seeing her doctor during this time period? How important are regular checkups and so forth?
I'm a proponent of annual exams. If for the only reason being you have a little more time with your doctor, because annual exams are not 5 minutes, right? So again, you bring that nice little tidy list. You can whip out things that are important, talk about screening, prevention, cancer prevention. And we're not just talking about pap smears, cervical cancer prevention. We're talking about, hey, have you had a colonoscopy? Hey, what about a mammogram? There are things you can do in an annual exam that make a lot of sense as you prepare for the next chapter of your life, which is midlife. And you just want to be the healthiest person you can be.
In my work, in doing the therapy and so forth, I hear people say, like, I am a diabetic, or I am menopausal. And I shudder when I hear that, I am, and then a diagnosis. You are a person who has this. How do we get that? How do we help people reduce stigma about menopause?
Oh, I'm so glad you put it that way. I'm not my disease, right? We're not our disease. And I think if we spin that and we talk about prevention, that goes a long way. We also spin that and say, like, hey, there's nothing taboo, there's nothing bad, there's nothing shameful about being in this phase of your life. And there's also nothing shameful in talking about all of the symptoms. And I mean all the symptoms. And so if we can have more of those honest dialogues with ourselves and with someone taking care of us, it makes it so much easier.
What about in the workplace? Today we talk so much about workplace mental health programs and emotional support, and you name it. How can the workplace help women who are experiencing menopause?
That, this is still evolving. I think in the UK, they were a little ahead of us, perhaps, but even in this country, we're getting much better attention paid to women who are needing extra, maybe need a day off. There's interesting data, and I don't have it at the tip of my head, but it's really profound. I think it's up to like even 30% of women quit during menopause. They're not retired necessarily, but they quit. And so, like, we're losing women in the workforce just at a time when they're actually pretty valuable, because they probably have a lot of skills and it's not their first rodeo. So I think bringing this into the forefront, identifying ways to help mitigate symptoms, especially for women who aren't working at home or, basically may not have access to things at their fingertips. It takes the stigma away. And I think it's important to talk about it that way.
Very important. You're reminding me, many years ago, I took care of a youngster who was 8 years old at the time, and he had autism. And I told the mother, I will be glad to take this youngster on as a patient of mine, but we're never going to use the word autism. We're never going to use the word. Well, one day he came and he said, I think I have autistic anger today. And the mother was sitting behind him. She said, I never used the word. I never used the word. I didn't want the label to stigmatize him. You are a youngster who happens to do this and have this and so forth. But that label, I am menopausal, makes excuses for all kinds of things. And women carry that. So I'm so glad to hear you talk about what we can do about reducing stigma.
Wow. We're going to take a station break. I'm sitting back listening to this discussion, and it's absolutely fantastic. I know that I'm looking at the numbers. So we got a lot of people watching us right now. And I'm going to tell you, people that the viewers, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, the comments, ask any question that you might have. I am sure that Dr. Michael Mantell and Dr. B will have an answer for you. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
The future is here.
Now is the time to pursue the greatness in you. Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith meets future. We are a fully accredited 100% online Christian university. We offer bachelor's degree, master's and doctorate degree programs built for students like you. Affordable tuitions, 30+ degree programs, 100% online and flexible. Integrating faith with learning. Study from anywhere at your pace. At VCU, we do not just prepare you for a degree. We prepare you for purpose. Discover who you are. Grow in faith. And build a future that impacts the world.
Are you ready to start your journey today?
Visit www.viridianchristianuniversity.com.
Apply today and be among the global leaders.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I'm just sitting back here just enjoying this conversation because there's so much information that Dr. B is putting out there that we all need to have an understanding of. And this is information that I did not know. I mean, I did not know, but I'm learning myself. So I'm gonna start off with the first question, turn it back over to Dr. Mike. So Dr. B, what roles does self-identity play in the midlife transition? How can women navigate and shift in purpose or self-worth?
I come back to that quite a lot. And when I talk about this, fully well knowing that not everyone is in that space or place. And that just me saying like, hey, become more self-aware and be kind to yourself and be compassionate doesn't mean that someone's able to be that way. But sometimes repetition helps. And, you have that mantra, that thing in your head, maybe it's body image or weight stigmatization. And if you just say like, wow, that I'm important, my journey matters, I need to be the best healthy person I can be, that hopefully can bubble up to the surface.
Oh yeah. Turn back over to you, Doctor.
Again, I think what you're saying is so important, is that it isn't menopause. I want to be the healthiest person I can be, who happens to have menopause, but I may have other things as well. Or maybe my experience of menopause isn't such a big deal, but my sister is going through it and she's having a very So I really like the fact that you take away this label stigma. All right, let's talk about what might be the, I was going to say the elephant in the room. I don't know if that's the case, but what about male and female partners? How can they be better allies to women who are going through menopause?
So the man in the room. I feel like, again, this is going to go both ways. So men have experiences women need to be more understanding and receptive to. But since we're talking about menopause and women go through menopause, I think men and their partners or people in their lives who support them need to perhaps learn more along the lines of women needing to learn more, and give a little bit, because I do say that many women going through menopause will feel a little out of control sometimes, or emotionally upset, or easy to anger, and so they're trying to figure out how they're feeling. They're trying to navigate that too. They're not perfect. So a little bit of grace goes a long way and makes the household a bit happier. But joking aside, I think it's really information sharing is good. I don't think a man needs to accompany a woman to her medical appointment, but maybe unpacking some of the common symptoms, like, oh my God, I'm really hot, and this is what's going on with me, instead of like, why do you keep doing this? So again, talking about it.
So if a male partner, husband, spouse, whatever, comes to you and says, my wife is telling me she can't control herself. I've got menopause. What do you want from me? I can't. This is not me. What do you suggest that they discuss?
Well, you're asking me a doctor. So if he was my patient, then I would talk about, hey, ways he needs to kind of chill and be there for her and maybe get more information. If she was my patient and he's not, then I can't say a word. But, sometimes, I hate to say the word therapy, but sometimes people do need to talk to a counselor and get a handle on their new relationship. Maybe they've been married for 20 years and now things are very different, not just because of menopause, but that's almost like icing on the cake. So they have to kind of take that into consideration.
Is there anything specific that you suggest in the context of our discussion now, without breaking HIPAA, about a specific couple, but anything you suggest specifically that men would be wise to avoid saying or doing that could invalidate or dismiss their mate who has menopause?
Well, and I'm going to be so stereotypical here, but I mean this in a total kindness. Men typically want to solve things. They want to fix something. And it probably comes hopefully from a place of love or caring or concern. But, menopause is not a problem you can just fix. And so if we take away the word problem, it's just a phase. It's midlife. These are new journeys that the woman hasn't done yet either. So she's still figuring things out. So I think, again, there has to be a little bit of a perspective there from the man's perspective.
I was working with a couple not very long ago, actually, and they came upon this idea. I'm curious what you think about this. She said, this is not any different than when we both started our first big jobs. We were nervous wrecks. We didn't have time for each other. We couldn't think straight. We were so focused on work. What did we do to get through that? And I thought, well, that was brilliant. And they were able to use that as a frame to build on. What do you think about that?
I like that. A job is something tangible and visible, like you get a paycheck and you go someplace usually to do that job. And I think that's where the analogy might fall apart a little bit, because menopause or perimenopause or going through menopause may not be visible, may not be tangible in that way. And so that's where I think there's a little bit more of intentionality that needs to happen, and grace and more education and understanding, because it's not an automatic. I mean, let's say you get fired from your job. Oh my God, and you didn't think you were going to get fired.
Right.
Your world is in upheaval. You're going through a ton of stress. It's very obvious, and your partner's hopefully supporting you. Well, you don't have that distinct visual with menopause.
Right. It's a time when, in both instances, where your mind is so focused elsewhere instead of taking time for the couple. And it's very important that time for each other, whatever someone's going through, menopause or cancer or surgery or whatever it might be, that couples focus on each other. Okay, let me ask you let's do some forward thinking here. If we fast forward 10 years, a decade from now, what's your vision for how the world treats menopause differently?
Well, I hope the stigma that's still getting kind of diminished has vanished in terms of hormones. At the same time, hormones are not the cure for everything in life. So I honestly think it has to be this embracing Western medicine, holistic care, kind of in this nice little embrace. I think there has to be much better understanding, much better education, much better information available to everyone who wants to learn. And I think people need to, hopefully by then, say like, oh God, thank God all these influencers aren't peddling all their products anymore. I had to say that.
I suspect, though, this week or this month, I guess, maybe it's the week, I forget now, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is touting much of what they talk about, the 6 pillars of healthy living, eating well, social connections, and so forth and so on, exercise. How important is that circle of integrative health to women going through menopause?
I think it's of vital importance. I'm a firm believer, and kind of sprinkled throughout my book, The Menopause Menu, I talk about, especially like, for instance, the subject of weight. It's not just taking a GLP-1. God forbid everyone's on medication in this day and age. Not to dish that medicine, but what about sleep? What about restfulness, quality sleep, not just quantity? What about social connection? What about nutrition? What about movement, not just exercise? All those things are so important. And, they're forgetting the word menopause. They're important as we age. They're important as we navigate midlife, or as we age into the 70s, 80s, and hopefully 90s. But even more important as we're journeying through menopause, because you bet they are going to be extremely helpful.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons we talk about this show. I call it 360-degree health. And when JC and Michelle and I landed on that title, we thought, yes, it captures exactly this notion, whatever the disease may be, dis-ease, not disease, but whatever the difficulty may be, it's embracing it all. And I just think that's so important. Hormone replacement therapy, eating well, sleeping well, socializing, you name it. These are all key things. Are physicians currently who are taking care of women who have menopause, are they thinking this way as well?
Wow. I wish I could say yes, but the answer is no.
Yeah.
Honestly, none of us were trained. And I also trained in an era where hormones were bad. And now that's, the pendulum has swayed. So I think that there are programs like this. There are many other venues that people can kind of start to learn. Physicians are teaching physician colleagues how to be better in terms of thinking clearly about hormones, about the safety and efficacy. On my Menopause Menu website, I have a course, and you can click on that. Anyone can take it.
Tell us about that. Tell us about the course.
Yeah. Well, it was sponsored initially. I was a speaker. It was a national course. Doctors in Social Media, Dr. Donna Coriel put it on. And I talked about the psychological aspects of menopause transition. Woohoo. But it has about 15, 20 different physicians, experts, all in menopause. And you can take this course and learn a ton.
And they can get that course how?
On my Menopause Menu website, menopausemenu.com.
MenopauseMenu.com. We want to drive people to that and take the course because, as you said earlier, education is power. And maybe, everything today is medicine. Gratitude is medicine. This is medicine. Grief is medicine. Maybe education is medicine.
I think so.
And I think that we are just coming up to a break. I know that JC is going to come in a moment. But this segment has been talking about the allies, the team around the woman who has menopause. Anything else you want to add about that before we take our next break?
I think the word community is right. It nails it. It takes a village. No, it takes a universe to go through menopause. You need to have support from so many different ways and accept it all.
And this notion of community means you have dear friends that you can be open with. You have your mate in life. What about children whose mom is going through menopause? Any advice for kids?
Well, depending on how young they are, they may not care. Sorry about that. But, if they're 12, that doesn't matter. As they get older, they'll start to oh, mom's a human being too. Oh, mom has these things going on. We rally the troops when someone has cancer. Why not rally the troops when someone's going through menopause?
I love it. Great. Doesn't mean that menopause is cancer. But when someone is in need, whatever the reason is, let's be allies.
Wow. We're going to take a station break. We can come back. This is so intriguing. And our viewers out there, I see Barbara just said, wow. I mean, she listened to the conversation and she is in England, so, hey, thank you so much, Barbara. But we're going to take a station break, and I'll tell you, we're going to come back. We got a lot more discussion, at least 8 more minutes. Once we get back from the break, 8, maybe 9 minutes, it all depends, with these 2 absolutely sensational doctors. And I hope you all are enjoying the discussion and learning like I am from this. So I'll tell you what, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching this on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Dr. James, JC, Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Cooley. I've heard so many powerful stories from women who survived heart disease because they took action in time. But I've also heard stories of women who weren't as lucky. The difference? Awareness, access to care, and early intervention. According to the American Heart Association, every 80 seconds, a woman in the United States dies from cardiovascular disease. That's more than 1 life lost every single minute. But did you know that 80% of heart disease cases are preventable? That's right, 80%. That means small changes like eating healthier, exercising, and managing stress can save lives.
Hi, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I'm committed to making sure that more women survive and strive. Please join me in raising funds for the American Heart Association to support life-saving research because every heartbeat is worth fighting for. In honor of Women's History Month, let's spread awareness and help women recognize the warning signs before it's too late.
At Meridian Christian University, we believe education is more than just a degree. It's a pathway to a purpose-driven life. Whether you're advancing your career, pursuing a passion, or building a new future, VCU's 100% online programs give you the flexibility to learn on your terms, anywhere, anytime. With expert faculty, personalized mentorship, and a faith-centered approach, you'll gain the skills, knowledge, and leadership you need to make a lasting impact. VCU offers bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees, each designed to empower you for success in today's fast-changing world. Join a global community of believers, learners, and leaders. Ready to start your journey? Viridian Christian University, transforming lives, empowering futures. Visit us at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. That's ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, I'm sitting back. I'm learning so much, and I know the viewers out there are learning so much as well. I tell you, I'm gonna put this up here. Subscribers to MenopauseMenu.com get a free gift, the complete chapter 3 on sleep disruption. Go out and buy the book. Bottom line, get the book. And we got Diana kind of commented on this. Let me see what she said. Oh, here she goes.
There she is.
This is so helpful. Thank you, Diana. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
Miss you. Get you back on again real soon. I just I got to talk about this Viridian Christian University. This online, and yeah, I'm the chancellor. I am. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it because it gives people an opportunity to work toward a bachelor's, or master's, or doctorate degree. And we also have honorary doctorate degrees for people that are doing above and beyond. We just got back from Dubai last week, where we honored a king, a crown prince, and the queen of Ghana. I had the opportunity to hood them, shaking as I was doing it. But we offer 30-degree programs that, as it relates to Christian leadership, that will help you get your goals on whatever that might mean. And we are extremely affordable, probably about 1/3 the cost of any other university. And so just go to ViridianChristianUniversity.com and check us out. I want to get back to this topic. We got about 6 minutes, Dr. Mike. You got it.
Oh, wait, we have a question from Michelle.
Yes, I do. So, Dr. B, can you what feedback have you received regarding the menopause menu, not only from women, but from men as well, if any?
Oh, I've received feedback from men and women, and I'm so humbled because the review's been so glowing. It just makes my heart sing. Readers have sent me pictures of some recipes that they've tried. So each chapter of my book, there's 16 chapters, has a recipe. So you get 16 recipes. I had 2 different women send me pictures of the kale salad. Oh my God, it looks so good. One, the fruit tart, the cake. And it was just like, oh my God, that was just amazing. So I hear women share stories about they kind of feel empowered in the good sense of that word, and they've been able to tap into that inner wisdom and kind of recognize it, and also getting the message that they're focusing on their physical fitness, on their mental sharpness, on their kind of managing their chronic diseases if they have them, and just kind of being the best stewards of their bodies. So I just love to hear that.
I can't think of one illness that doesn't, in many ways, do better with a rounded lifestyle, a healthier lifestyle. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. Having said that, we have easy access to experts, in quotes, from all over the world, touting all kinds of information, showing the latest, greatest. I mean, there's no area that we don't have experts in. What do you think the impact of social media and the growing number of these influencers and experts touting information has been on women dealing with menopause?
I'm going to be pretty serious right now because I think this is a slippery slope. I think that there's a lot of danger about actually gaslighting women. I think some of the advice can be harmful because it's not really grounded in science. And people can lose a lot of money too, buying things that just are not going to help them. And so you have to be discerning. You have to, buyer beware, right? Menopause is in the spotlight. Yay. I'm so glad. But that just means that also everyone is trying to sell you their product. So, unfortunately in our culture, there are two things that really kind of bubble to the surface. It's body image and it's weight. And there's a lot of negativity. We need to spin that and reclaim those things as being valid and sacred to each individual person based on their culture, based on who they are, and not just what, the spin masters tell them.
So is there anything specific that a woman might be wise to be cautious about when they're exploring over-the-counter or natural kinds of remedies? Any specific highlights?
Yeah, I won't name products, but I will say the word natural does not mean it's safe and it does not mean it's effective. So just think about that for a minute. I think honestly, who wouldn't? Everyone's looking for that quick fix, the holy grail. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. And I think honestly, you're missing out on better options. Maybe it's hormone replacement. Maybe it's therapy. Maybe it's, redoing your nutritional routine. There's so many things that you can work on that don't have you buying a product or a supplement.
So are there any specific trustworthy sources? I don't want you to be careful in naming anything specific, but are there any trustworthy sources or steps that someone can take to vet information about their health during this period of life?
Honestly, people get information from so many different sources, so I don't want to say good or bad on any of these. I have to say my book is probably a good stepping stone for that, because if you're just not sure, you start somewhere, right? And then you add to it based on your value system and kind of what you have access to. And hopefully, you get to reputable sites that aren't just kind of some, rabbit hole somewhere.
And I think, though, the key is to be able to get in touch with people like yourself, Dr. B, at menopausemenu.com, and they can specifically ask questions, speak to your physician. But here we have a national expert. And I think that the answers you've given today demonstrate what reputable, credible, science-anchored, research-based kinds of answers can help people deal with this. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Any last-minute tips that you want to offer? Any message you want people to be sure to take away from our discussion today?
If they haven't done it already, women should go schedule their annual exam, bring a list of questions, short, stay grounded in science, make sure things are evidence-based, ask questions, and by all means, everyone needs to be listening a lot better.
There you go. I'm not sure if James is coming on or not, but I guess he's having some difficulty. And I find it, there you are. I'm sure that Michelle is very happy that you've heard this discussion today.
And she is. So I want to thank you, Dr. B, for coming on the show. I want to invite you back if your schedule permits. Dr. Michael Mantell, you already know. Thank you. I'd like to thank Michelle for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning into the show. Always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life, and we'll see you then.